Hi, this is your instructor, Julia Grab. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the Access interface and show you the 4 primary objects in Access: tables, queries, forms, and reports. So when you first open Access, you may get a warning that asks you to enable content, sort of a security warning. Go ahead and click Enable Content, and then you should see the view that you see in front of me here. So we've got a navigation pane here, and then a menu ribbon across the top. If you want to see a different view in your navigation pane, you can click on this drop down and you can see only the tables, for example, or tables and related views, so all different types of tables related to the tables. Let's just go back and leave it as object type with all of the Access objects selected here. So when you double click into a table, this is where we're storing our data. Data is stored in relational databases in tables. And then data from those tables are pulled into queries. And then typically queries are pulled into reports, so they're easy to view. So for a table, we have a few different options. We have view here on the right. We've got the datasheet view, which is what you're looking at right now, and the design view. The design view is where we can set up our table with different fields and their specific data types. Every table must have a unique key, a key identifier that identifies each customer, in this case, as unique. So you can have 2 customers with the same name and address, but their customer ID would uniquely identify them. And you can see here that each of the different fields has a relative data type. And there are some other field properties that I won't go into right now, but you will need to be using later in this course. So let's talk about the relational side of relational databases. In order to see the relations between these tables and how we can pull data into a query that sort of cross-sections data that are related in these tables, we need to first close all objects, so nothing should be open. And then under our database tools, we can take a look at the relationships. So when you click on that, sometimes nothing shows up. It may prompt you to ask which tables you want to show. We're going to show all of our tables here. So very importantly, a table is created and contains specific information such as order details, a customer's name, products, sales representative information, and then, of course, the type of product. So I'm rearranging the tables here in this layout just to show you all of the fields that are available. So I'm sort of expanding it. And then also so that the relationship lines, the ones you see here with the 1 and infinity, are not overlapping. So we can see more clearly how these tables are related to each other. So let's go through the process of how this database is related. So you can see here that sales rep are related to a specific customer. So a customer is reaching out to this organization to buy coffee, let's say in bulk. And so they have a specific sales rep that they deal with. And that sales rep is part of their customer profile. So instead of repeating the sales rep information in that customer's file, we instead link to it. We create that connection. We say this customer is got 1 sales rep. However, a sales rep can have many customers. So that's what the information, the infinity sign here means, is that the customers are on the many side. So we have 1 sales rep working with many different customers. And the same thing with the orders. We have 1 customer that can make many orders, and that's how those 2 things are related. And the order details can be, again, very complex, different products with specific quantities. And in each order detail, we have many different products for 1 specific product. So this would be our inventory table where we have all of our products listed. Relational databases, this is the key point here, is finding the relationship between all of your data points and how you want to store them. We will be building a few examples of this in this class, but in Business 145 at Camosun, if you end up taking that course, you will go into a lot more in-depth relational database design. Let's move on to queries, forms, and reports. So go ahead and close this. If you're prompted to save, say yes, it's just that layout. Here, let's take a look at this query. So this query, this is datasheet view. If we go into Design View, we can see that it's pulling in a lot of different tables, and specific fields are being retrieved down here from each table to produce a order detail query. So here we're looking at the quantity for the customer name, where they were located, how much they were. So for each order, how many different types of coffee did they have, what the quantity was, etc., customer name. So that's the purpose of the query, is it brings in a cross-section of the data. It is not a table. This is called a dynaset, and the view is recreated each time the query is run. So if you have new customers in your database and then you run your query again, it will pull in that new information specific to what has been entered into the table. Access is an SQL database, so we can go into our Design View here, and then we can also see the SQL. So this is a scripting language that is used to pull and join tables. This is basically by creating this query in Design View, you are essentially writing this SQL code. So it's really nice. Access gives you the ability to basically drag and drop, point and click, instead of writing database code. Here we have, I'm just going to close this query here. We have two different forms here in this database. You should probably have as many forms as you have tables, because forms are an excellent way of entering data into multiple tables at once. So for example here, this is a form that has a split form. So you're entering customer information at the same time as entering order information on a single page, rather than going in and doing it manually here in the table view. So forms are really powerful. They create sort of that front-end access for a database, the interface, if you will. And let's take a look at our final object here, reports. And reports usually are created off of queries. So as you can see, this query and report are essentially named the same thing. It's really important to see the way the naming is used here. RPT standing for report, FRM for form. This should be QRY for query, as that's what it is, and then TBL for tables. So our report here, it's basically pulling all of the information from this query, but laying it out for us in a really easy to read way. And there's a lot of grouping and formatting that we can do here to make it look even more professional and ready for printing or publication. So that, in essence, is Access Interface. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you enjoy this challenging section of our course.